Hello and welcome to Building the Premier Accounting Firm. I'm your host, Roger Knecht, president of Universal Accounting Center, and this is a show dedicated to helping you as owners build the premier accounting firm so that you can get paid what you're worth, offering quality accounting services and taking care of your clients. It's here on the show that we actually have experts, individuals that come on each and every week to share with us things that we can be doing in our company to address things related to marketing, selling, pricing, tech stacks, just so many things that we need to be considering as we're running our business so that we can, in fact, be that premier accounting firm in the area. Now, as it relates to today, we're going to have on the show someone that I'm excited to speak with. Now, I keep messing up her last name. I cannot believe I do this. Deneen Dias, right?
Deneen
Dias. There we go.
Okay.
And Deneen, it's crazy. We've had this conversation like 3 or 4 times already this morning. So Deneen happens to be recognized as a leader in the accounting profession with over 17 years of experience helping firms evaluate, implement, and optimize technology to improve internal operations and evaluate client advisory services, what you might know as CAS. Now, her expertise lies in guiding firms through digital transformation, leveraging AI and cloud accounting techniques and technologies to build scalable, efficient, and client-centric CAS practices. Now, she has been a long-term advocate for modernizing accounting. Deneen's also trained hundreds of firms through her work, facilitating the CPA.com Digital CAS Roadmap Workshop. She also has her strategic guidance where she focuses and helps firms nationwide launch, design, and grow high-value CAS offerings that derive recurring revenue, deep client relationships, and enhance the firm value. Currently, Deneen's actually the co-founder and chief revenue officer for Infinite Ties. It's a thriving membership community built exclusively for CAS professionals who are shaping the future of the advisory services in the accounting world. So, Deneen, welcome to the show. This is going to be a lot of fun. So I think there's so much here that we're going to have to dive into. I'm going to begin, however, with your background. What brought you to accounting?
Well, it really started in 2008 when I started working at CPA.com. CPA.com is the technical arm or the technology arm of the AI CPA. And I was brought in back then to help firms embrace the cloud by using Bill.com and Intech. CPA.com put accountants programs in place with both. Back then, firms were not ready to embrace the cloud. They were fighting the cloud.
I remember.
Right? And then back then, they weren't paying bills for clients. And so we were talking to firms about how the cloud was going to change the way they could deliver services to clients, and they would have the client's data real time. And so they could advise more on that data, and firms weren't ready. So we needed to move into a space of education. And so that's when CPA.com started the roadmap workshop. And so I facilitated that workshop and have just become really passionate about helping firms use technology to transform the way they're delivering services, which now we're seeing again with AI.
So one of the things that I think you're harping on there is this reluctance to change that we've seen time and time again within the accounting profession, because debits and credits stay the same. The accounting's still the same. It's the tools we're using to do the work. And I do distinctly remember this push to go paperless. That was the phrase, paperless, go on the cloud. And we've moved past that. That's over and done with. What's now in front of us is this AI that you mentioned. So we've got a lot here to dive into. So with your background and with what you've seen over these years, one of the things that I think is very important to understand is so many of us in the accounting space are familiar with the terms of offering bookkeeping services, tax services, accounting services. But more and more, we're starting to hear this term of CAS, the client advisory services. Very, very common. It's much more common today than it just was a few years ago. But what does it mean? What is client advisory services? What is it when we're saying we're a CAS firm?
Exactly. And I think that different firms define it different ways, but as someone who's been helping firms build a CAS practice, we used to call it client accounting services. Some firms call it client accounting and advisory services. I now call it client advisory services, because that's really the push, is how do you move into advisory? So it is it's very different what the traditional firm is used to around tax and audit. It is focusing on the accounting side, and bookkeeping is part of it, but that's where you start. It's not where you end. And so I believe being able to gather the data, and technology now allows firms to gather the data, integrate the technology so that the data is accurate, make sure that data is clean and accurate, but then you can start looking at the data and advising. And that's what clients are hungry for. They don't want someone to just do their taxes or prepare their financials. They want someone that can talk to them about their business, can talk to them about the numbers. And so that is moving into that controllership, CFO advisory space. That's what CAS is. It's not after the fact, it's not write up work. It truly is real time reporting on the data and talking to the client about their numbers.
You're defining this so well. I love it. The acronym, as you pointed out, does have a few variations as to whether
Right.
or not it's advisory or accounting. But CAS, in and of itself, I think represents as a profession
That's right.
our move away from historical recording and documenting through the financial reports what has happened in the business, moving more into the real world or the current phase of what's going on in the accounting, recognizing that the business owner can have a dashboard with what's going
That's
on
right.
right now with my finances, what's
Right.
happening with my cash flow, what's happening with the revenue.
Exactly.
That being said, CAS is, I think, more forward thinking, especially leveraging AI and the tools that are now available to us and
Absolutely.
coming on scene so that we can actually step into that CFO advisory space and now offer value or services that we can be paid for that
Yeah.
are beyond the traditional bookkeeping, accounting, and tax preparation services that we may have considered.
Well, I want to double down on what you said, because
Yeah.
what you said is being paid for.
Yes.
And so doing the accounting work, doing the compliance work, we're seeing a decline. Like, firms are needing to charge less for that work, and it's very competitive. So, shifting into this advisory, you can charge a lot more for these value based services that clients are really hungry for. They want to talk to somebody, an expert about their business, helping them make business decisions, helping them see the trends in the data that help them talk and think through what they're going to do next. And so you can charge a lot more for those services. The other thing that's really great is it's reoccurring revenue. It's
Hmm.
month after month, 12 months out of the year, reoccurring revenue. Very different than tax season, right? Where you work really, really hard and you make all of your money in those 3 months. No, this is month after month reoccurring revenue. And the really successful CAS firms, and what I've trained the CAS firms to do, is pay themselves first. So if you value price and you're charging $10,000 a month for your advisory services, you can use technology like Bill.com to pay yourself the first of the month before the work is done.
Hmm.
That's very nice reoccurring revenue, $120,000 a year, and you're paying before that work is even being done.
I love that you're emphasizing the fact that it's recurring. That's one of the things that I think is also very important to recognize is this isn't one-off type meetings that we're having that
Right.
we periodically get paid for. It's an integral part of the client engagement and what it is we're providing as services beyond the bookkeeping and accounting that we're traditionally familiar with. So
That's
let's kind of dive into this a little bit differently because we've got an understanding clearly as a profession as to what bookkeeping is, what tax preparation is. Perhaps
right.
we are clear. If we're not, I can dive into it as to what the distinction between bookkeeping and accounting is, the difference between tax preparation and tax planning. But let's step into that advisory role as it's the strategies as it relates to tax strategies to mitigate
Yes.
tax liability. It's the advisory work as we're looking at helping that client address cash flow situations and step into that CFO capacity. What is it that you think the accounting profession needs to be offering that isn't so obvious to us, maybe from our experience and training, that the clients are needing and
Right.
willing to pay for? What is that advisory experience that they're willing to experience and pay for?
Right. Well, at CPA.com, I used to work at CPA.com. They started talking about CAS 1.0,
Hmm.
CAS 2.0.
Yeah.
So the CAS 1.0 is really the transactional work. It's the payroll, it's the bill pay, it's the expenses, it's the spend management, it's the sales and use tax. Those are
Okay.
all, that's a transactional work. That's the CAS 1.0. Again, I believe in automating that using technology like Avalara for the sales and use tax, right? Using Bill.com for the bill pay, using Expensify for the expense piece. You can automate all of that work with technology. That's that 1.0. That's where I see a lot of firms getting stuck,
Okay.
is that transactional work is very time consuming. Also, they have a lot of talent that is used to doing those services. They have people that know how to do payroll and bill pay and sales and use tax. And so that's where they're kind of stuck. The push is to move into that CAS 2.0, like you said, which is controllership, CFO.
Yeah.
There's FP&A tools out there like
Hmm.
Giraffe that enable firms to do the FP&A work. That's the cash flow analysis. That's
Hmm.
the budgeting, the forecasting, all looking at all the trends in the data. And so again, there's tech, and I think this is where AI is going to come in too. And we can touch on that in a bit. But pushing into those more advisory services, the more complex things, fixed assets, rev rec. Those are complexities that the clients really struggle with and they want help. So they go to the accounting firm that's offering help on those complexities. I think the struggle is these are new services, which I believe needs new technology as well as new talent. It's not a tax person that's offering that. Honestly,
Hmm.
it could be a bookkeeper. I mean, that's what people are asking of us at Infinite Ties is how can we upskill our people? Right now, we have people that are doing the transactional work, right? Technology can automate that. How do we upskill our people? One of the biggest things that CAS leaders are asking for of Infinite Ties is soft skills. Having their talent get very comfortable talking to the
Yeah.
customer, right? Because you need to be having these discussions with the customer every single week, every single month. This isn't an annual conversation. It could be quarterly, but I believe it needs to be a monthly conversation about what's happening with their numbers. And firms are, I don't like to use the word scared. I think they're trepidatious. The talent at firms are trepidatious because they do not want to give bad business advice. They're really not, it's a muscle they haven't perfected yet. They're not used to talking to the customer about their data and they don't want to give bad business advice because what if something happens that the business owner does? Then are they responsible? So engagement letters are very important. Mitigating risk is very important, right? But getting comfortable talking about the numbers in a way that the business owners like, I know what to do with this. So you haven't really given the business advice. You've just talked about the trends that you're seeing in the numbers and looking at like the forecasting and the budgeting. What happens if you would hire another person? Or what happens if you have a person that's a poor performer on your team? And let them make the decisions after you've just had the discussion.
Get your copy of Red to Black. It is the book written for accounting professionals to help businesses turn around and go from being in the red to being in the black. This book is written for consultants, business owners, operators, and managers, no matter what your client's product or service, or irrespective of your talent, skill, or expertise. As an accounting professional, you'll be able to use the principles presented in this book to actually become, for your clients, the profit and growth expert. Every chapter is filled with principles and concepts that you can use immediately with your clients to lead them from being in the red to being more profitable in their business and see you as, in fact, their guide, their coach, with the expertise and wisdom that you can bring from this book. In the book, you have how-to guide explanations. You have models that you can follow. You're shown how to actually calculate and determine the fees for your services, the actual model that you'll use during the implementation of all this, and most importantly, the end-all results with your clients. Get this book now and see what it is you can do to offer this new revenue-producing service as, in fact, the profit and growth expert. For more information on how you can take advantage of this offer, go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today. One of the things that I think you're talking about here is so important because often as I talk to accounting professionals, they express what it is you're describing. They lack the skills, the soft
Yes.
skills, the experience of how do I move into that advisory space
Right.
because I'm comfortable offering the bookkeeping
That's
services.
right.
I'm comfortable doing tax preparation. I can operate as an accountant. I understand that role.
Right.
But it's this idea of I'm told again and again I need to be moving in this direction, offering more value. But what does that look like? So before we get into the details of it, how do you address that confidence side? Because confidence is one of the two key elements that's essential for them to
Right.
be able to move into this space and get paid for it. So how do you actually help
Right.
an individual maybe get that confidence to say, yes, I'm now going to make this as part of my offerings?
Right. Well, I would argue that tax partners are already giving this type of business advice. They are just not charging for it, right? It's
Very
just
true.
because they've been tax partners forever. They understand not only the tax law, but they understand the business, the trends they're seeing. And so they're just talking to their customers about a lot of this. And so that shift is hard also to start charging. Start charging for what you've kind of been giving away for free.
Yeah.
But you can have a conversation with your current customers saying, listen, we're moving into this advisory role. I want your business has been booming. We've been doing your tax work for the last 5 years. You've doubled in revenue. And now that you've doubled in revenue, I believe there's so much more we can do for you. We want to start having these monthly discussions with you. At my advice is to bring your team with you. So you need to coach up your team. They need to be hearing those conversations that you're having with the customers. They need to be part of those calls, part of those meetings, so that the talent is getting exposed to the advice that tax partners have been giving for a very long time. The other thing is if it's a larger firm, mid-sized to larger firm, you probably would want to either move a partner over to CAS or hire in a CAS partner who is solely responsible for building these services, bringing in the right people, hiring in CFOs. Hire in CFOs that have worked directly at a business, bring those into your firm. That's new kind of talent that you're bringing into the firm that knows how to give that business advice. But again, make sure that they're teaming up with the bookkeepers. They're teaming up with the accountants, because that's how they're going to learn. They're going to learn through that coaching from having and I would also say, look at your talent and ask them their aptitude. Like, are they interested in doing this kind of work? Does this
Good
excite
question.
them to be having those discussions with the client? Do they want to be sitting in on these meetings and learning and moving into this way? And then there are places like Infinite Ties that focuses on the upskilling, because
Mhm.
that's the biggest ask we get from our leaders. How do you upskill my team? Part of our services is soft skills training.
Yeah.
I would also say, though, the person that's paying your bills, the person that's doing your payroll, the person that's doing your expenses are already talking to the customer every single week, every single month. So they love the small business owner, and they having discussions, a lot of discussions with these small business owners. So it's a lot of training on how to talk to them about scope creep. Well, the client's asking for this. Don't give it away. This is something new. Look at the engagement letter. How to upsell. Oh, the client is asking for information on their cash flow. Oh, that's exciting. That's moving into CAS, right? Bring that to the leader to then price for those services. So I think there's just a lot you can do with your current staff. There's a lot you can do with the services you're already providing, but not charging for. So and then there is upskilling out there available to the team as you move to this advisory
Yeah.
part of your new part of your practice. And by the way, I want to say, CAS is the fastest growing new revenue source
Mhm.
for traditional firms. We've seen audit is flat. Tax has about 5% growth, and CAS, for the firms focusing on it, have 20 to 30% growth. So it's the fastest growing new revenue source, but it's new. It's a new muscle, it's new technology, it's new people, it's new pricing, it's new engagement letters, it's new training. And so it's just a muscle that still needs to be built, and it takes time, and it is not easy. I'm not here to say it's easy. There's lots of pieces to the puzzle, and it is hard. It is not easy because it's very different than the traditional tax offerings. I recognize that. People have told me through the years I make it sound so easy, and I know it's not. I know it's a hard muscle to build.
Yep. Well, there's so many things that we can discuss
Yeah,
regarding it, and we don't have time to do all of them. So I'm just going to kind of hit on a few of these things, and I'm going to ask which of these you would like to actually kind of dive into. Clearly, from a CAS point of view, as it relates to CFO and advisory services, you said earlier on that many of us are in a position where we are for free sometimes providing this service anyway. We're already having these types of interactions with our customers. So the first thing is now identifying, packaging that, and
that's right.
actually identifying what is that worth so that we can give it a price point. This is a new service. It's standalone from the bookkeeping, the tax, and so forth that we're now able to provide to our clients. Do you want it? This is what the cost is. So we have to now define it. We have
Right.
to price it. We're
Right.
now going to now have to, in that packaging, market and sell it. How do we describe it? What are the benefits associated with it?
Right.
But then the next question becomes, how do we now define the engagement? You were pointing out, rightfully so, that this should be a monthly interaction with the client. So, what does that monthly engagement experience look like? What
Right.
does that involve from the accounting firm? Is this like an hour-long meeting? Is it maybe an hour of prep time, maybe an hour of post time following the meeting? What does that look like? And then, what might the customer experience in those monthly meetings? Because the engagement's going to go for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months,
Right.
18 months, 36 months. Well, what am I doing in month 18 that I can today see, even though I'm now a year and a half out from what that experience might look like? Do I have a clear deliverable that I'm going to be offering once I get to month 9 as to the customer's experience? So, what part of all of that do you feel we should dive into? Because there's clearly a lot there.
We need to do another one because at Infinite Ties, we talk about the power of the 4 Ps.
Okay.
People. So focusing on the people part of CAS,
All right.
process, right? Process is really hard. Documenting things, platform, you need a different tech stack. And then people, process, pricing, people and pricing. Pricing is the 4th P. And so the power of the 4 Ps is what we focus on. And I
So
could do
people, process, platform, pricing.
pricing. Yes.
Okay, got
And
it.
I could do a session with you on each one for CAS. But
Pick
let's
one.
start with pricing. Let's definitely
Okay.
start with pricing because you mentioned like if you want to get started in CAS, I don't think you need to market it as a new service. I think the tradition, like your tax partners or the business owners can look at their current client base and start very simplistically with their current customers that they've have these relationships with. And as I mentioned, we suggest that you look at your client list and you look at the clients that have grown. What are the clients that have outgrown bookkeeping? Have they gone from 1 to 3 million in revenue? Typically around 2, most CAS firms are focusing on business that are like 2 to 8 million in revenue, maybe 2 to 10 million in revenue. So focus on those clients that have grown and need more, and they've outgrown bookkeeping, and they've started calling you with all these questions, and just start there. But I would say when you look at the pricing, I do like 3 tiers, right? And so you can have that tier 1, which is CAS 1.0. Right? It's the payroll, it's the bill pay, it's the expenses, maybe sales and use tax. Some people want to do that, some people don't, can be very profitable if you do. And then that middle is more of like controllership work. And then the third tier is more of the CFO services, where you're looking at the strategic planning or the budgeting, the forecasting. That controller might just be cash flow analysis. So have your 3 buckets, right? And then go to those current clients and say, hey, listen, in the 4 years that we've been doing tax services for you, we've seen that you've gone from 1 million to 3 million in revenue. And we think that there's so much more we can do for you. And it's a new service that we're offering. So we want to show you these 3 tiers, right? And then have a discussion with the clients saying, actually, one firm I saw, their marketing team did a really nice slick on this, and they called it, I remember, biking, driving, and flying.
Okay.
And so, right now we're biking with you.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what we started to do your accounting work. And we call that biking with you. We're biking your business forward because we're helping you with your payroll and your bill pay and your expenses. But guess what? Now that you're growing, we want to drive your business forward. And so we really want to start talking to you about doing more controllership work, like analyzing the data, cash flow analysis, and that's going to drive your business forward. But know that that's also not where we're going to end. When you're ready, call us and say, I'm ready to fly. My business is ready to fly. Let's fly together. And that's when we want to do the strategic planning and the budgeting. And so know that we can do all 3. We just think there's more that we can do than biking with you, and have that conversation with current clients and say, yes, driving your business forward costs more. Yes, flying your business costs more. So we can talk about those price points, right? Because typically biking might be $1,000 a month. Driving, typically $3,000 a month, right? Flying your business forward is about $5,000 to $8,000 a month. And all the clients pick the middle. They pick the middle, but you've also shown them where we start is not going to be where we end. And so then you train your people that when they start at, oh, we love driving more. What more can we do with you? We want to do more than drive. Oh, you're ready to fly? You're asking for budgeting and forecasting. That's flying your business forward. And so it's going to cost more. Let's have those discussions. And so I wouldn't say it's 8 months, 9 months, 12 months in. This is monthly reoccurring businesses that you're providing. So you will always be providing the same monthly services. If you're doing $8,000 a month worth of budgeting and forecasting, that's consistent. Sometimes they might come to you with projects. They might have a special project. Well, that's outside of the $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month. But happy to do this project with you, right? This is something that you need. Maybe you have a board meeting that you want us to help prepare for. That's a project. That's a project that we can do in a month or two. We're going to charge more for those additional services outside of the monthly engagements. And I feel like I could talk about this forever, but pricing is the one that I think kind of starting with is a place to start, and start with your current clients. You don't have to go market anything, bring in anybody new.
I like this. No, this is very, very helpful. Yeah, one of the things that I would add to that is your analogy of the biking, driving, flying. I've heard that before. And the way I've actually heard it said is the bookkeeping is the biking.
That's
the
right.
accounting is the driving. And if
Okay.
you want to go farther and faster and more comfortably, perhaps in first class, we can put you on the plane and give you that CFO advisory space. But the point is it's going to involve the bookkeeping, the accounting,
That's right.
and there. I mean, you got to get to the airport, right? So
That's right.
that's one of the things that we were going to talk about. And that's for the client, a good analogy for them to realize there is a distinction between each of those services. And I appreciate that analogy.
Learn the turnkey process for starting and building a successful accounting business. It's in this course so you'll actually experience 4 specific trainings. Part 1, your business plan, everything you need to know to get started. Part 2, how to price your services, the pros and cons of different methods and the best way to price your services that are both profitable and professional. Marketing and selling your services so that you can actually be top of mind, but more importantly, how to actually be seen as a trusted strategic advisor. And last of all, mapping it all out. 5 principles in running a profitable business so that you can be both competent and confident in the services you're providing. Learn now what it is you can be doing to start and build your own successful accounting, bookkeeping, or tax business. Go to the episode description and there get the information you need to take advantage of this today.
So as it relates to all this, I have to ask, people are wondering how AI is going to impact
Yeah.
bookkeeping, how AI is going to impact accounting. But let's talk
Yes.
about how AI might actually assist us in
That's right.
providing these CFO and advisory services at
Absolutely.
that high level. Where do you see AI assisting us to be that expert?
This is what excites me about AI, because there's so many different types of AI, right? Everybody kind of thinks it's just chat, I think, but there's so much. There's RPA, robotic process automation. There's machine learning, like the machines are learning, right? So I think we're seeing so much AI come into the accounting space. It's a bit overwhelming. And everybody's coming in saying that I can transform the way you do the work. And it's like, where do you start? But what I suggest firms do is think of AI in 2 ways in this accounting space. One, what AI can do the transactional work. So that CAS 1.0 is going to be automated by AI, the transactional work. So I would say that bookkeeper's job is changing, and they're going to be moving into a role of review. And so I also propose moving to value pricing, because that hourly work is going to be like changing. I
Uh-huh.
also think offshoring is going to be changing, because AI is going to be doing that offshoring work, right?
Hmm.
And so that
Yep.
CAS 1.0 is talking to technology that can automate the transactional work. There's a new company out called Digits that I think does a really
Oh,
nice
yeah.
job of automating that
Yep.
transactional work. Okay, that's the one part. Then what AI can you bring into the firm that's going to allow you to be advisory? And there are new AI companies coming in that is going to gather all of that data. And so that the accountant and the tax partner can look at the data in very meaningful ways. And the AI is going to already spot the trends in the client's data so that you can have that richer advisory conversation. I believe that the business owners still need a professional with those conversations, right? Somebody who is a professional at looking at the data and helping them make meaning of the numbers, right? And so I think it's going to move firms into this advisory space, into faster and fun. I think it's going to be so fun to be able to use these AI tools. They're going to help them with the forecasting and the trends and all of that meaty stuff. That again, clients are hungry for these business discussions. And so that's where I think AI gets exciting in the accounting side, how it's going to automate the transactional work and how it's going to help with the advisory work.
Deneen, I really appreciate the terminology you're using as you're describing this. It is going to be exciting. It is fun. And that's one of the things that I think is actually helping the accounting professional kind of evolve, because we're now having to be a little bit more engaged with our clients, a little bit more forward thinking with our clients. You talked about the soft skills earlier. These are all essential. And the AI is literally the tool that's going to give us, I think, the information and the confidence to be able to work with them. But it doesn't replace us, because we have to be, as experts, able to kind of question what's going on, because the AI does hallucinate. It does come up with misinformation. And what we need to do is be able to discern that for our clients. Otherwise, they're going to get confused. So we have to be still that translator, that interpreter, so that buffer can actually exist between that technology and our clients. They are our clients, not the AI client. So we've got to just kind of keep that distinction in mind. The one other thing I'd like to point out, and I think this is important for my listeners to understand, is as valuable and influential as AI is and will be, it is something that you're able to interact with through the various technologies you're already paying for. These platforms that you're using, you mentioned Giraffe, and we've got QuickBooks and all that. Notice that they're integrating into these platforms that you're already using the AI interfaces. It's not like you have to go around those interfaces that you're already paying for, these services and platforms you're using today, and think like you have to go now get Claude or Grok or something else and start doing things directly with them, having to learn how to do prompts. You don't have to learn all those prompts. That's the programming language that is not necessary for you to leverage and get the benefits of accounting or of AI just in the platforms you're already using, because they're integrating it there. Would you add anything more to that?
I really appreciate you bringing this up, because this is something that I talk about often. When I say there's so much AI coming at firms, so much AI coming at them, they're very overwhelmed and they don't know where to start. I think they have change fatigue. Like, I hear all these things from the firms that I talk to. So I agree with you. I say give it a beat. Give it a minute, because the tech stack that you're already using is coming in strong with infusing AI into their platforms. They have to, or they will go out of business. I mean, Intuit last year fired how many people? It's like 1,200 people. I forget. It was like 10% of their workforce they fired, because they hired 1,500 AI experts this year to infuse that into their tech. And so you do not need to rip and replace, right? You do not rip and replace. You don't need to. The tech stack that you're using now, Bill.com, spending a lot of money, bringing a lot of AI, right? And so get to know the vendors. I mean, I was just at Intuit Connect. And at Intuit Connect, every single day, they were talking about the AI agents that they're rolling out, right? AI agent in payroll, AI agents they're rolling out. And so get to know your vendors, talk to them about the changes that are happening with their technology. Make sure you're taking advantage of all of the new things that they're bringing to you already before you go out and search for some additional ones. The additional ones I would be searching for are the ones that are going to help you be advisory. And I've got my eye on a couple. But I think they're still in their infancy, so I'm not going to name names yet. But we're watching this because I'm hungry to bring this to the CAS firms. Like, we have a CAS membership, right? We're really hungry to bring those to our membership. I just think they're coming. They're just not quite there yet. I don't see a winner yet.
So I'm going to add to what you just shared a little bit of simplicity here. the firms are already paying for and using
That's right.
services, platforms that are taking the time to integrate, as you just described, AI into the things we're already utilizing. And so the question, the challenge that I face or that I ask is these things that you're already paying for, how much are you fully utilizing what
That's
you
right.
already have access to? It's kind of like walking around with your cell phone. There are so many things that that phone is capable of doing, and you use
Right.
but a fraction of its potential. Well, the same is true for the services you're already paying for. Lean into, learn those platforms, leverage them, and you'll be amazed as to actually how much they can assist and help you within your business better service your clients and do the work more efficiently.
And know what's on the roadmap. I mean, that's
Mhm.
one of the things we do with our CAS membership. After Intuit Connect, I still want to call it QuickBooks Connect, so I have to
I
think about
know.
it for
I
a
know.
second. After
Yep.
Intuit Connect, we asked for Intuit to present to our membership. And so the week after, we brought in a product manager from Intuit to talk about everything that was announced at the conference so that our membership understands all of the new AI agents. And we also asked Intuit to talk about the roadmap and what's coming, right? Same thing. I'm on the Bill.com advisory board. So I went to their accountants advisory meeting. They have so much stuff they're bringing. We invited them in to talk to our membership a couple months later and say, what's on your roadmap? Not only tell us what's launched, what's launching. And
Yeah.
so I just recommend having somebody on your team that can be a younger, staff accountant who's raising their hand saying, I love the tech, and make sure that they have a relationship with the vendor and that they're always talking to the vendors, the key vendors that you're using, about what has released and what is releasing, so that you're not spending time or money. By the way, I don't think firms should be building bots. That they don't need to. Somebody
Yeah.
else is going to be bringing that to them, right? Just make sure that you have that relationship and you're staying on the cutting edge of all of it.
I appreciate that because I think it does remove for my listeners a lot of the intimidation of where I'm going to actually find, use, and learn AI. And in reality, it's right in front of them
It
in the
is.
platforms they're already using. So that's great. One last question. What are you grateful for?
Well, so Infinite Ties is new. This is our first year in business. And I have two co-founders. They came from a top 10 firm. So they're practitioners that have lived it. They've been CAS leaders at a firm. And so I'm just grateful. We're a female-based business. I'm really appreciative of doing my own thing
Hmm.
finally. It's my first time ever, being a co-founder. And
Yeah.
I love it. We're passionate. We have our customers in mind. We've been embraced by the CAS community. We're getting really good feedback. We're getting great ideas. And so it's just wonderful, like doing this for myself with people that I value and I respect, and that it's being well received. So I'm just grateful for the successes we've had this year. This year we're building. Next year we blow up.
There you go. I like that. Well, with that being said, I'm going to start wrapping things up and I'm going to come back to you for the closing thought. And because you mentioned Infinite Ties, I'm going to encourage my listeners to take advantage of going to the episode description and you'll find information about Infinite Ties. It's a thriving membership community built exclusively for CAS professionals who are shaping the future of advisory services as it relates to accounting. So definitely check out that and learn a little bit more about it. In addition to that, I want to invite you to check out in the episode description becoming a profit and growth expert. We mentioned earlier today the idea of skills and the experience and knowing what that looks like in offering CFO and advisory services. Well, that's exactly what becoming a profit and growth expert is. It is a program designed to give you not only the skills and the confidence, but also the competence to deliver quality CFO and advisory services, meeting with your clients in that forward thinking space, addressing the cash flow needs that they have and helping them work on their business. If you'd like to learn more what it is for you or your staff to be able to step into and confidently offer CFO and advisory services, consider becoming a profit and growth expert and check out more what that looks like. In addition, I also want to invite you to check out the book Your Strategic Accountant. It's a free ebook that you can take advantage of. You can go to the episode description and request it, or you can go to universalaccounting.com and in the free resource section, get your free copy of Your Strategic Accountant. It specifically addresses what a firm is doing when offering CAS services, what that looks like for the firm, what that looks like for the client, and most importantly, how you can go about packaging, positioning, and delivering that service with confidence. So get a free copy of Your Strategic Accountant today. Now, as it relates to a summary of our conversation, there are a few things that I'd like to point out. The first being, I thought this was a great beginning of just defining what CAS really is. So many of us with our experience know what bookkeeping, accounting, tax preparation, and so forth. But to hear this CAS analogy was great. Whether it's advisory services, accounting, that acronym can represent so much. And we had a great conversation about that. From there, we actually moved into what does it look like to offer these types of services? What is it that the client's expecting? And it's the evolution. We're looking at going from that cloud accounting, going paperless, into now being real-time accounting, to forward thinking and addressing for our clients the needs that they have at that cash flow level, becoming for them that advisor. We talked about packaging that service. We talked about pricing that service and delivering that service. And what I thought Deneen actually did a great job of explaining is those P's essential for this thing. You had the product, you had the packaging, you had the platform, you had the pricing. These are the things that clearly we need to consider as we're now packaging and delivering this new service. One of the things that I also thought was helpful in the conversation is recognizing that for many of us to move into this space where we're perhaps already offering some of these services with our clients already without a fee, is how do we go about now getting that confidence to go about delivering that? Well, we talked about what that might look like. And obviously, becoming a profit and growth expert is an option. Joining the group, Infinite Ties, is a community for that. These are all things enabling us as we look forward into what we're going to do as a firm to remain relevant for our clients, to have solutions, options, and means to do so. The other thing that I really appreciated was the conversation as it relates to AI and how it's going to be useful for us to step into this capacity. And the short, easy answer is just recognizing that many of the platforms we're already utilizing are incorporating within them the AI interfaces that we can leverage. We just need to take the time to learn and utilize them as we're already paying for the platform itself, becoming experts with the things that we're already using today. And then lastly, with regards to this, I appreciated the fact that we were able to talk about it, or about CAS as it is, from a big holistic point of view. It is the direction of the accounting profession. It's where we're going as a industry, as a profession, to better service our clients. We've been talking about this for years, and I think we're finally moving in this direction with actionable ways of delivering, pricing. That's what we need to be discussing. So what would you add to this as a final comment, Deneen?
Oh my gosh, Roger, you summarized it. We covered a lot of things. I think what I would add to it is I recognize that it's hard. I mentioned that it is hard. I've been working with CAS firms that are trying to build CAS, and it is not easy. And so there's lots of pieces of the puzzle, and it is new. And so I think it's not a quick hit. I think it is something that you have to put a strategic business plan behind. You have to put goals behind it, revenue goals behind it. And then, as I mentioned, you need to hire in new talent, bring in new tech, right? So bring in all that new talent to your firm to take it to that advisory level.
I like that. Thank you for saying that. One of the things that I'm going to do now is, as I wrap up, is first of all, encourage you, if you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please do so. We'd love to have you actually listening each and every week as we bring on the experts to address these various topics that are necessary for us to become the premier accounting firm in your area. So like and subscribe, set those notifications so that each week you can join us for this episode. The next thing I'd like to point out is related to our past episodes. You can go to universalaccounting.com and in the navigation, find the podcast section where we've actually compiled from more than 300 episodes the various highlights as playlists. These are basically playlists combined to address specific areas that might be relevant to you today. These are marketing, selling, mental health, tech stacks, training staff, various things that as playlists you can dive deep into and address your current situations and hear what the experts are saying about those specific topics. In addition, I'd like to invite you to GrowCon. GrowCon happens to be an annual conference where we get together yearly in May to actually hear from the experts what it is we can be doing to not only take care of our clients, but thrive as accounting firms, offering bookkeeping, accounting, tax services as the premier accounting firms in our areas. In addition to that, you get to interact with your peers, make friendships, collaborate, see what you can do to better service your clients, and as well, build a community of individuals that are peers to you as you're working on building your business. Be inspired by those who have gone ahead of you and grown more than what you've been able to achieve. Inspire those around you that are actually looking at you as to what it is you've accomplished and what you can do to inspire them to take that next step that they need to follow your footsteps. There's a lot of friendships and collaborations that come from this, and I encourage you to come and join our community. Lastly, as it relates to coming to GrowCon, you also get to meet myself, my team, those individuals here at Universal Accounting Center who are committed to helping you be in business for yourself, but not by yourself with Universal. So come join us for GrowCon. Go to universalaccounting.com, and in the navigation, you'll find the information regarding the event, and there you can register, and I look forward to seeing you there. Lastly, as it relates to Universal, if you'd like more information regarding our programs and the trainings that we offer as a post-secondary school for accounting professionals to help you or your staff, basically go there and you can learn about our programs ranging from bookkeeping training, tax training, advisory training, marketing training, just the various courses and curriculums that you would expect as a school to assist you in building the premier accounting firm in your area. With that being said, if you'd like more information from Universal, also feel free to give us a phone call. You can reach us at 801-265-3777. And always remember this, if it's about accounting, it is Universal. Take care, have a great day, and be safe out there.